Hi there. My name is Lucas Weiss, and I am the host of the Weesesports Quarantine Chronicles. For today's episode, I'm joined by Berkley Brown. Berkley is a member of Team Canada's Freestyle Skiing Moguls team. In this episode, I chat with Berkley about her journey into skiing, her early success on the world stage, battling with 2 ACL injuries, and her path to the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. The Weesports Quarantine Chronicles is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure to like, rate, watch, and subscribe to all 3 of those channels. This is episode 38 of the Weesports Quarantine Chronicles. All right, on today's episode of the Weesports Quarantine Chronicles, I am joined by Berkley Brown. She's a member of the Canadian National Freestyle Skiing Moguls team. Berkley, welcome to the Weesports Quarantine Chronicles. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm awesome. I'm just out here in Whistler at the moment, but it's good, yeah.
Very jealous. I mean, would love to head out to the West Coast, Best Coast at the moment, but maybe we'll just start there. I mean, because I've been interviewing a lot of athletes, and it's been such a strange time amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. So how have you been, and how has the training been affected by the pandemic?
Yeah, so our season got cut a bit short. So our nationals didn't happen. So there was a good 2 weeks there that, we still thought we were going. So training was kind of as like normal, one would say. Once nationals was canceled, we took our normal couple weeks off before jumping back into off-season training. And then right when we were about to get back into that, we realized that we're like everyone, we're on lockdown now. So it was good, isolation training, had a good setup in my basement with the gym, still tried to stay motivated, keeping my normal schedule, had like Pilates in the morning with our team, and had like Zoom calls with my team during like workouts and everything, which is awesome. It was nice to have like that community feel, even though we weren't all together. And then the middle of May, made the decision to move out to Whistler and to actually live with my team, continue our dry land, and just kind of be together during this time. So it's easier and a lot more motivation happening when we're all together. So, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but like I remember like when this was all like beginning, you were in Japan, I believe. So like it must have been such a weird experience, like coming like back and like what's going on, and just like your whole world really turning upside down.
Yeah, that's right. So I was in Japan, and at that point of the whole COVID-19, it wasn't really a huge thing in Canada yet. It was very it was big when we were in Japan. So we took precautions when we were traveling, like normal hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, all of that, doing as much as we could to stay healthy. And then my team continued on to Sweden and Kazakhstan and Russia. So for them, it got like even worse. They had to start checking their temperatures every morning, little things like that. I came home just because I was only doing 2 World Cups this season because of my knee. So I actually like sat back and saw this all happening, but for them it was crazy. They had to be flown home right away, and it was like wake up in the morning next day and it's like everyone get home, get safe, and isolate yourself. So yeah, it's pretty surreal to be like in it, but we're all happy. We all came back healthy, and yeah, it was good.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, health obviously the most important, but you mentioned how you're in Whistler now with your team. Like, what is that like, now? Because I know that you mentioned you did Zoom calls before, but there really is nothing is better than just being physically together and being able to motivate each other and train together.
Yeah, for sure. So I moved in with 2 of my teammates who are actually from Whistler. So there's still a lot of us that aren't together. Of course, the people that are in the West, like Calgary, or up in the East in Quebec. So they are kind of together now in Quebec, trying to do some social distancing training. So everything here is still social distancing based, but since we are living together, we can do our gyms together, which is awesome. So just having that motivation, making dinners together, making breakfast, like just being together and having your mind focusing on skiing is a lot better versus when you're at home. You work out and you're by yourself, but it is nice being with my family. I love being with my family. It was awesome. But being out here, it's definitely a more ski mentality. So it's awesome for all of us to be supportive. Mm-hmm.
I want to get into your career because,
Yeah.
in doing research for this interview, you started skiing, at 7 years old. And, many of us here, being in Canada, I mean, you grow up on, skates or skis or snowboards. But like, when did you realize like, okay, like I could be not just like going on like a cool ski trip, but like I could be an actual competitive skier?
Yeah, so I guess I made the Ontario team when I was 13, and that was pretty young at the time for a mogul skier to be making a provincial team at that age. So I got invited to senior nationals when I was 13, and I ended up making finals. And I think that's when I was like noticed by my good like Ontario team coach David Belmer, who I stayed with for another 5 years afterwards. And yes, and I still had like the best time. I wasn't scared. It was still just really awesome, and still having fun with even like the degree of difficulty change in the course. And I think that's when I realized like, hey, like this is cool. Like we should see where this is going to take me at the age of 13. So of course each year it like progressed. I would say when I was 16, I won the NORAM tour, still on Ontario team, and that's when I was like, well, this I should really start to think about this. So yeah, it was good.
And it's crazy to think that 10 years ago was when Alex Bilodeau won gold at the Vancouver Games in moguls.
Yeah.
And I know that you were very inspired by what he's done and what so many of, the moguls athletes have done. So, I mean, what did seeing those athletes accomplish, do for you in terms of your development and going down this road of being, in moguls?
Yeah, for sure. So to take it back a bit, like watching the Vancouver 2010 Olympics, that's what made me fall in love with the sport. I was actually at my chalet at the time, and just watching it with my family, seeing this, and I was like, wow, like that is so cool. And also Alex winning gold for Canada, just watching someone do that in Canada and the sport that I loved, it just was like, wow, this is really what I want to do. And it was just really inspiring. And then to add on to that point, when I did make the national team with Canada, I just thought it was so cool that I was once training with them, and now I was still like looking back and watching their World Cups, being like, whoa, like I trained with them last week and now they're winning a World Cup. Like that's really really cool. So
and you mentioned how at the age of 13, a really young age, to make such a big life-changing decision to pursue, see where this can take you, pursuing moguls on a competitive level. And I speak with athletes all the time, and just about that, that journey. And while it's you have such a unique skill set, you're also making a sacrifice, and you just that not you're not living what a normal teenager lives. You're around the world. You're not with your friends. You're with your teammates. Can you talk about that sacrifice and whether, I mean, was it difficult at first to adjust to just that life of just being on the road and missing your family, missing your friends, and that normal teenage life?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I guess at the age of 13, that's when things started to pick up. We started to travel to Zermatt in the fall, and Australia even in the summertime. So it was cool. I think when I first started realizing, I started to miss the first day of school. And that always, the first day of school is always, it's the first day of school, especially the community that came from that country day. The first day of school was the welcome back barbecue. It was always just a lot of fun. So I think when I first started to realize like missing the first day of school is like, whoa, like this is cool. But in the way that I wasn't sad about it, it was like, I'm very content with missing the first day of school, if that makes sense, which showed how much I was loving the sport, how much I was willing to train and like progress myself. So, but yeah, for sure, missing a lot of things, just little things like school dances, like prom actually I was home for, which was awesome. I did take time off from training for prom, which was I'm happy about. But yeah, for sure, it was a lot of challenges. But I think with technology these days as well, it's super easy to keep in touch with my friends, and all my friends are really supportive with me, always checking in. I was checking in with them. They were helping me out with homework a lot. So yeah, it was good.
And you talk about those early experiences of your Team Ontario coach noticing you, and moguls is a sport where unlike playing hockey or basketball where you have games, like it's like that one run, right? Or it's like like that one chance to impress or not impress. So like, how do you handle that pressure, and like what was that moment like when like you really were able to impress not just your fans and followers, but like actual people who know a lot about the sport?
Yeah, it was awesome. So the sport, like the run itself, is around it was 30 seconds for me back then. It's around 26 up to 30 seconds now. But yeah, it's cool. We train all year round for a 30-second run. So it's weird in that fact where we do have to, it's a lot of performance on demand, but just when you're at the top and that you have like your family, your friends down at the bottom, it's a very surreal moment. It kind of just humbles you down, and just you can have fun with it and just kind of let your skis go. So I think in that moment, if I can remember back to when I was 13 in my first senior nationals, I think I was mostly just enjoying myself. It was beautiful weather up in Quebec, so it was warm. I was like skiing in a hoodie. It was very relaxed, and it just kind of all happened. So I think, and then yeah, so that's just what made me make Ontario team, and then but yeah, so I hope that.
So yeah, and then maybe just to build onto that, like how do you then go from like Ontario to then now on the national team?
Yeah, so I was on Ontario team, and then I completed a full off-season training with them, and then my first NORAM with the team, which is the North American Tour, I actually ended up tearing my ACL when I was 13. So that was my first ACL injury, and I think that injury at such a young age did also make me realize how much I love the sport, because that just showed me what like commitment was at such a young age, because I needed to do physio, do rehab, and still think about skiing 24/7. So that's what really made me love it. And then things progressed on Ontario team. It was kind of consistent results here and there. And then 2016, 2017 season, I won the NORAM Tour on the Ontario team. So that was awesome. That was honestly one of my most proud moments as a skier to this day. So from then, that's when I made the national team when I was 16. And then the following season was able to have my first World Cup starts. And then again, had that consistent season on the NORAM Tour, just kind of focusing on little things, being on the team, wearing the flag. It's definitely a bigger step than just representing Ontario, but now representing Canada. And then from there, if we go fully into my season, that off season, so going into 2018 of November, I actually ended up tearing my other knee, my other ACL. So that was definitely hard, because I was really looking forward to a full World Cup season. But it was good. It was another good learning experience. I learned a lot. I was able to focus on different injuries I had versus my back and my knee fixing. So then I came back last season and had a really good comeback season, I guess a lot of people say. And now we're back training again to have a full season for our next season. So
I want to get into the couple injuries that you've had, and and ACL injuries are obviously very, very serious for any athlete, but obviously an athlete like you who's doing moguls, and I'm just curious for you, Berkley, just that getting that news, processing that. Obviously, when you receive it once, it's bad, but like you're obviously you're young and you're ready to go, but compare it then to the second time, because I'm sure like getting it on the other knee, it's like when can I get a break, right? Like I'm sure that's what that's what you were feeling.
Yeah, thankfully I only have two knees, knock on wood. So so yeah, it was good. Honestly, when it happened, I was training one of my bigger tricks, but that was something that was a goal of mine. So I wasn't really disappointed in how it happened, more just why it happened. It definitely was a shock, but I think just with the team support of being like on Team Canada now and my teammates, I was in Zermatt at the time, so definitely was far away from home to have the family side of things, but my team was so supportive, so helpful, and they've gone through it, unfortunately, a lot too with other athletes. So just having that support system right off the bat, having a plan, and the next day knowing like it's okay, like you're going to be back. And I knew I was going to be back because I've done it once before. So just having that and the support system of CSI Ontario, my physio and strength there throughout the 9 months, and my surgeon, of course, and the team all together working together to get me back. So I think having their high spirits all the time and their motivation, it was for sure, it was just another gym session. Yeah, I was training a new knee, but at the same time, it's still the same goal at the end of the day. It's just a bit longer gym sessions, or my knee's a little swollen today. So, yeah.
No, for sure. But like, was there ever any doubt? Like was it always, like you could return, back to that level, or was there, some doubt, or was it like you were gonna like recover 100%? It just needs to require some healing time.
Yeah, for me, honestly, it wasn't if I was gonna get back, it was more when. I was trying to not rush it at all, just because my team, they said, you have time, like don't stress, like this is good, that you have time to focus on other things, you have time to get stronger. And it actually was a really good recovery, and I'm happy with everything that, like how it went, and I followed a pretty good timeline, and and I honestly came back stronger, which is awesome. So through that, I think it was good. Of course, there's doubts, when you can't, you don't check off the goal that you had that day in the gym. It's like whether you're squatting or my first time jumping or something like that. But again, not having like a full timeline of an end goal, it kind of calms you down, and to just focus on your knee and not the big picture at that exact moment. So.
And, and look, you also develop that perseverance and that, resiliency as an athlete, which is what a lot of, athletes who are listening to this podcast and others, they want to find. And, and look, because, injuries aren't ideal, but like once you can recover from them and like be patient, you can then get back and be stronger than ever, because you're just raring to get back onto the slopes, like in your case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And having my first season back too, and not having the stress of performance, more just getting back and getting that feeling back of being in the gate, getting back into competition mode. It's one thing to get back skiing and training, but to then transition back into fully 100% competing. So having that season as well, just to focus again on my knee and not on the results on the paper, was really good. And now I'm feeling so much more mentally and physically stronger going into next season, where I'm ready to fully 100% compete at 100%, bring it, and not have to worry about my knee. So.
Without revealing all the state secrets, I'm always curious for an athlete, like before a big race or before, you go down the hill for that 30 seconds. Like, yeah. do you have like a hype jam playlist? Like what does Berkley Brown do pre-race, pre-competition to get her ready for the big moment?
Yeah, so I try not to have too much of a set plan, just so if one time it's different, I'm not freaking out about it. But for sure, this season, I loved "Life Is a Highway," the song.
Oh my goodness, that's a classic song.
Yeah, I don't know where it came. It was on my Spotify playlist one day, and then it just stayed there. So that was definitely one of the rituals I had this season. And of course, visualization is a huge aspect of the sport, especially since we're such a technical sport. It's awesome to visualize. So that's what I do as well before each competition. And I think me and my coach have a little like back and forth that we do. That's pretty consistent, not word for word, but it's pretty consistent, going through my run and just reassuring that this is this is another training run. It's not another training run, but this is another training run, and just to be in the present moment and try to do like what can you control in that moment. So
And do you prefer being like the last one? Because from what I remember watching moguls at the Olympics, like obviously the last one out, you know, has the luxury of like seeing what the other scores are, and then, you know, you guys say, okay, like, you know, here we go, like I gotta get to this threshold. And in saying that, like, do you know when you like have done the perfect run? Like, I mean, I'm sure you've run so many that you just know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely not a competitor that watches or looks at the scores of other people before my run. There are a lot of people who do, and it's more just a personal preference thing. For me, even if one of my teammates or another competitor does an amazing run, it's not really going to affect how I'm now going to go. But that's just how I try to think about it. But of course, when you cross the finish line, you know that you had a good run, or you know you don't. So, or it's 50-50 sometimes, or you think it was worse and you watch video and it's like, oh, actually it wasn't so bad. So for sure, you do have that feeling when you cross the finish line. And when you cross the finish line, you know you had an amazing run. It's like, that's the feeling you want. That's the feeling that we train for like every day. So it's awesome.
And, you know, for many national athletes like yourself, you know, you have the chance to travel the world. And I'm always just curious for you because, you know, obviously you're there to compete, but it must just be so, you know, important and refreshing just to like soak in a lot of these like different cultures and just different places that like not many people have the opportunity to go, yet alone compete on the national stage in the sport that they love.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. I'm really grateful that my sport is we have such a tight community. So every single country, we're all very close. Like when we travel, we all eat in the same dining room. We all have breakfast together. And I think that's one of the amazing aspects of mogul skiing is we are a very close knit community and everyone's very supportive of each other. And it's also really cool because we get to see where everyone's from, and they also take the time to show us around and show us like, oh, have this for lunch. Like this is really good. Like when I was in Japan, we had like a special donburi bowl because that was like recommended and things like that. But I'm very grateful that my sport's been able to take me around the world, and Japan was the farthest I've been, and that was really amazing. So yeah, it's awesome.
What do you think, Berkley, you know, has enabled, you know, Freestyle Canada and moguls to just continue to have so much success? Because, you know, obviously we talked about earlier Alex Bilodeau, but it just continued. And, you know, 10 years later, the sport's in such a great place right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Our team is very dominant in the sport. Mikhail Kingsbury is our leading male competitor right now, and he's the leading male competitor in the world still, and he's been absolutely amazing. And it's awesome to be able to be on the same team as him too, just seeing his resilience towards training and everything like that. So that's also so encouraging to all of his teammates, and he's very he's very motivating too. And then also we had a leading female at the time, Andy Naughty. She's now retired, but just training with her as well and seeing how much like drive and everything just makes you train better yourself as well. But yeah, Canada's definitely been dominating the past couple of years, and I'm very grateful to have the same coaching staff. And it's I guess it's good. So, but I gotta say, every single country right now is skiing like phenomenal. It's a very competitive sport. So we'll see.
What are the countries? I mean, for my Canadian listeners listening who are very pro Canada, what are the countries to like watch out for? Let's say in 2022 at the Beijing Games.
Yeah, honestly, each competition, there's always another athlete that is eye-opening or surprising or stands out. So I gotta say, like this season, being able like to watch World Cups like live, Japan really like was awesome this year. Their turns were just incredible, and the U.S. is always right there, right behind Canada. So I mean, everyone is always there. You know, Great Britain was really dominant this year as well, and Sweden's always there too. There's a lot of teams. So everyone is just really good. And again, back to it being such a community, it's crazy how everyone is so supportive. It doesn't really matter where you're from. It's just, if that run was amazing, people are going to be happy for that person, because it's just seeing the sport, like seeing a great mobile run. It's still fascinating towards me. It's amazing to see it done, and it's cool.
So, speaking of the Olympics, I got to ask you, how does Berkley Brown qualify for the Olympic team? Like, what's that process like? Is it a tournament? Is it an accumulation of results? Like, what happens?
Yeah, so 2022 is the main goal right now. So we're going to try it. It does come down to the season before, most likely. Years past, teammates have had pre-nomination, as they would say. So that would be happening next season. But it usually does just come down to the 5 competitions that season right before the games, and that's how it gets super competitive. Especially being from Canada, we have a lot of amazing skiers, so it's definitely going to be a competitive race, a competitive run to the Olympic team. But it's going to be good. So
how many do they select, just out of curiosity?
It actually depends each year. So there's actually not a specific number for just mogul skiing. We are tied in with slopestyle. I think ski cross as well. So all the labeled freestyle sports have a total sum of numbers, and then it's kind of split in between who is doing well at that time. So we're not just competing against mogul skiers. We are competing against each discipline of skiing for freestyle.
And my final question for you, Berkley, is just, looking at, obviously, the goal is 2022, and obviously, every event next year is going to be super competitive. How do you stay just mentally focused and just sort of, like, obviously that's on your mind, but blanking that out for a moment to just focus on the task at hand and just take it every practice, every, workout, every, event, and run at a time?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely something I'm still working on. It's, trying to focus on the present, like focusing yourself on the now and not trying to think too far ahead. There's only so much you can control. So I think that's a big aspect, is how can I show up to this gym session and just give 100% this gym session, and then once this gym session's over, I can now focus on either tomorrow's training or the next one and stuff like that. So just kind of focusing on the present and not walking into a gym session saying what's going to happen in 2 years. So it's just kind of just focusing on what's happening in the moment and just trying to control as much as you can. So it's hard. I'm saying it like it's easy, but it's something I'm working on every single day. So.
Well, Berkley Brown, you're continuing to make us proud on the Canadian stage in moguls. She's a member of Team Canada for freestyle skiing moguls. Berkley, thank you so much for joining me on the Weesports Quarantine Chronicles. And here's hoping that our next recorded podcast, you'll be an Olympian. So I'll get to say that perhaps you'll be all over you before the Olympics. So we'll never know.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.